Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. So today I interviewed Monica Rodgers. So have you ever met someone, this happens with a lot of my guests, and you meet someone, you're talking to it and you're like, oh, I like her. Like we could be friends. We could hang out. We could vacation together. I like her a lot. That's how I felt about Monica today. So let me tell you about her. Monica Rodgers is a catalyst, companion, and mentor for awakening women. She specializes in creative expression and consciousness-raising spaces to investigate and transform the underlying conditions that keep women from being seen, heard, and fulfilled. A tireless advocate for awareness and empowerment, she invites her clients and collaborators to embrace the beauty in life's mess and the virtues of self-love, fierce compassion, and collective liberation. As a seasoned coach, podcaster, spiritual practitioner, and intentional creativity facilitator, Monica supports women with teachings, tools, and practices that support embodiment, authenticity, and leadership. Through storytelling, timeless wisdom teachings, and creative expression, she interrupts the trance of unworthiness, helping women trust themselves, dismantle limiting beliefs, and reclaim their inner guidance while activating their true potential. Monica believes that women can step fully into their power only by shedding the need to prove, strive, or conform. Don't we feel that? On her website, you'll see that she's described as a certified professional co-active coach, a sacred feminine rites of passage practitioner, medicine woman, truth teller, soul diver, light worker, belly laugher, and alchemist. All right, so she's just fun to talk to. That's what I'm saying. So we dove into all kinds of things. We talk about, of course, her personal journey story, her dark night of the soul, what was the catalyst for where she's at now, and all the changes she made in her life. I think you guys will really identify with some of it. Then we talk about revelation to revolution, the 7 steps to feminine freedom. We get into the whole patriarchy thing, all of the things we've been embedded with as women from childhood that we have to overcome. And then we talk a lot about disrupting the trance of unworthiness. So we get into what that is and how the heck to get out of that trance. You know what? I'm not gonna keep blah, blah, blah. And let's jump in there because we talked about so many cool things and we went directions that neither of us expected. I'm excited to share this with you. Let's get in there and learn all the things from Monica Rodgers. All right. Hey, Monica. Thanks for being here with me today. I'm excited.
Jen, me too. This is so great.
You guys listening, we've been chatting it up already. Mon, she can go by Mon sometimes, you guys. You know, when I say Mon, I think I'm in an episode of Friends.
Right? It's kind of like that.
When actually you have a more Rachel look to you.
But yes, people have said that.
I found myself going through all of your things, like your podcasts, old episodes, and your website, and everything I was reading was like, oh, I get that. That feels right. I connected with so much of it. So I know that so many of my friends with me listening right now are going to connect with this too. First, I want to just start with a little bit of your personal spiritual journey story, because you had a dark night of the soul, right?
Did I?
That has led you where you are today?
Yes. Yeah. So 16 years ago, I had found myself doing, I had accomplished everything that they say we women can accomplish, right? I kind of got to the top of that career ladder and found myself looking around and saying, is this it? Is this what everybody said was going to be so great? It was probably the most successful, quote unquote, I ever was. And yet I was exhausted, overwhelmed, depressed. I was pretending not to know my marriage was failing.
Yep.
And I was like standing at the edge of a precipice. And I'll never forget this one day, hearing a voice, my higher self, say, let go. And I thought, like, let go? If I let go, like, everything's going to fall apart. And the voice said, that's the point. Right? So that was my first kind of like understanding or communication with a higher part of me that was trying to tap in tap me on the shoulder a million times, but I was the girl that needed the universal 2x4 to really
Yep, you had to
start
get hit over the
listening.
head.
Yeah. But I was raised very strict Catholic. In fact, my mom was a former nun.
Mm, yeah,
not not something you hear a whole lot, but it is more common than we think. Many women leave the convent.
for
But the
a
interest the
when they fall in love.
yeah,
Yeah.
they and she fell in love with my father. She was also a scrub nurse, and my father was a surgeon at St. John Hospital in Michigan.
Okay, they was
Yeah.
doing more than scrubbing in together. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
right?
She was a nun,
Absolutely.
guys. I'm kidding.
No, I actually think there was, way more mischief than, because
Yeah.
again, the hypocrisy. So check this. My father already had a wife and 3 children, and my mother was 20 years younger. You
There
know,
was scandal going on in your
so
neck
much
of the woods.
scandal, so much
Okay.
scandal. Like growing up and putting the pieces of this puzzle together was actually even harder because my mother had suffered a subarachnoid hemorrhage
Mm.
at the age of 25. And it was right around the time, and this is right around the time that they met. So I'm giving you this background story to just kind of like set the stage for how confusing it was growing up and how much hypocrisy there was for all of us, right? But this was my specific brand of it. And I'll never forget kind of like being later in my life being like, well, wait, record scratch. Let's go back. Wait, what happened? How did mom end up taking care of his wife and 3 kids? Because he went to Vietnam and she couldn't go back to nursing because of the brain injury. So the administrator of the hospital sent her to his home to care for his family while he was in Vietnam. And they
In
started
the heck?
and they started corresponding via mail. And unfortunately, or whatever the story is, because I actually don't know, because what it destroyed was her capacity to storytell, her capacity for insight. So my
Okay.
mom could never, and I wasn't aware of any of this until about 9 years ago, till I finally took her to be diagnosed. And that's when I learned about the like I say, undiagnosed brain injury back in 1965 when they had these, events. They didn't know what they know today, which is that only 20% of people who have subarachnoid hemorrhages survive, and 100% of them go on to have sustained brain damage. So my mom was kind of raising us the best she could, coping, but there was so many complexities. And she really, because my dad was gone all the time, she was kind of my earliest kind of influence of, just a lot of confusion, a lot of like, I didn't know what I was dealing with, like I said, until about 9 years ago when I finally recognized, my gosh, I have this massive mother wound. We
Yeah.
all,
Did it kind of come out as almost like a mental illness type of
it did,
thing? Okay. Yeah.
it did. And so, I had already had the dark night, but it took many, many years, Jen, to just like go back and reintegrate all of the disintegrated parts of me. Because what I've found is that most of us do have trauma of some sort. But those of us that experienced, or if you've heard of the ACEs too high, adverse child experiences, this, the
Yes,
little
where they go through and like
questionnaire you can
number you.
do, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
yeah.
was a 5 or a 6. So it was really,
I'm for sure there with you.
yeah. And it was such a revelation to me, right? Like I was like, okay, I'm actually dealing with PTSD, right? And
Yeah.
one of the things that was so intertwined with a lot of the crazy making growing up was a lot of the projection, not knowing what that even was, right? Starting to name some of these things, starting to get healthy myself and have a relationship to my own spirituality that wasn't about Father Sky God or all of what I had been taught in
Yeah. So
church or
what
in
age were
Bible
you when you
school.
really dug deep into spirituality?
So 16 years ago, I would have been like 39. So I'm 54, like right around, yeah,
Yep.
right around
So
there.
you were in that mid-age little
Yeah.
moment. So you're saying you had 16 years ago, you had to start note so because you knew you had to leave the job you were in, the marriage you were in, like just
Hmm.
everything kind of probably blew up a little bit.
A
Yep.
little bit.
A little bit. but spirit had already told you that's the point. I
Yeah.
have to get all this stuff out of your life so that you have room for all the things I have planned for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was what I now call truing. It was like everything that wasn't true had to go. And
Okay.
I had really built my whole world from this place of needing to prove myself, needing to
Yeah.
prove that I was worthy, needing to prove that I could do it on my own, needing to prove that I was strong enough. I think most women who grow up in a patriarchal world also come to some kind of revelation where they realize that they're in a bit of a trance of unworthiness.
Yeah, let's talk about this trance of unworthiness. Because I
Mm,
saw on your site, it said, life is filled with wonder and magic on the other side of the patriarchal trance.
mhm.
And like you dupe it, like you just said, the trance of unworthiness. So
Yeah.
explain this whole trance of unworthiness, because I think a lot of us are in it right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think a
Yeah.
lot of us are. So when I was about 6 years old, I was sitting in church and I was hearing the story of Adam and Eve and all this, malarkey about Eve kind of being, cursing humanity and all of that. Right. And
Women
I,
were so freaking bad in the Bible half the time. Yeah.
right. And so I remember being incensed and looking around to the women around me thinking like, surely they're going to revolt here. Like, this isn't true. A little girl, right? Kind of looking around and all
Yeah.
of these women were eyes wide open, but they weren't there. And I had this revelation in that moment, like they're not there. What happened? Where did they go? From this little girl perspective. When I was older, I realized that women leave their bodies to survive an emotionally uninhabitable world because it's like death by 1,000 tiny paper cuts. We're fed messages from the time that we're very, very young about whether it's starts with biblical stories, but it goes on to like, you run like a girl or right, like all of these
All
tiny
these little
paper
things that get
cuts that
embedded into
accumulate.
small girls. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so
Don't take up
many
space. Be
don't take up
quiet. Be
space.
kind. Be
Mhm.
sweet. Right?
Mhm. Mhm. Right. So it's like it's either the too much or not enough. And so in order to survive that, many women kind of disassociate. And so many of us find ourselves so dysregulated when we come back finally to the body. And again, it's very hard to just be there and to find peace because we don't usually have the tools and the teachings, nor do we see the bigger construct because the framework of patriarchy is hiding in plain sight. And I know a lot of people have an issue with kind of patriarchy. Everybody's been talking about it for the last few years. But if you really look at it again, just as a construct, it's not about being against men. It's more about the whole world had been inverted to keep men and women actually in division, in conflict. And it's like men who have suffered in a lot of cases as well, like
For
deeply.
sure.
Talk
For
about
sure. Yeah.
disassociated, right? And so coming back to the body has been my biggest spiritual journey because it's been through the body that I've found my divinity. It's been through the
Yeah.
body that I've been able to access my inner wisdom and my intuition and my knowing. And that's the last place I would have looked for it.
Yeah. No. Is it within ourselves?
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
So, it seems so obvious now, but I think the women that I coach today are making their way back to the body or they're having an underworld experience and they don't have the language for it, right? They're
Yeah.
going through a dark night, which is a great sign, right? It's
I
bad news
know.
and good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
focus on the good for that one.
Mm,
So if you're listening right now and you're like, how do I know if I'm in a trance? How do we know?
yeah. Yeah. So my clients were me,
Right.
like, right. They were me. They were overachieving, right? Didn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
rest or relax, saying yes when they meant no, saying no when they meant yes, doing what I call the 4 Ps: pretty, pleasing, polite, and performative, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
the people pleasing that so many women learn how to do in order to get through it. And there comes a time where the body just can't take it anymore. It can't take the the distortions. It can't take the misalignment. And usually the body starts to break down, whether it's through some signs of mental illness, which could be like chronic anxiety. It could be breast cancer. It could be stomach issues, but the body always holds the wisdom. And of course, we know that the body keeps the score. But usually, unfortunately, and really why I do this work is so that women don't have to get to the point where they almost have to lose their life to choose their life as the way it is.
Yeah,
But like
because
to
we
get,
will get sick.
yeah, but to get
100%. I had this
really
in
honest.
2013, my body did that. This was back when I turned like 40. And man, did it hit the fan all of a sudden.
Mhm,
And you
mhm.
think like, wow, 40 really is where you start having problems until you start diving in like, oh no, that's because I have buried so much junk in my
So
body.
much.
I have pretended it's fine. And I found that I was working in a masculine energy when I was meant to be working in a feminine energy, which is where you talk about the feminine energy has more, and it has nothing to do with gender. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about the energy that you're living your life by. Because the masculine energy is that go, 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 achieve, 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 keep moving, keep moving.
Do,
And the
do, do.
feminine says, no, calm it down, right? Embrace it. Take the rest you need. Do things with more intention. Slow it down.
Right.
Through the spiritual journey, that's another thing I've kind of figured out. Okay, I was in the wrong energy that whole time, trying to
Yeah.
overachieve and everything else. And now it's like, no, it's fine. If I
And
want to take a
Jen,
nap, I'm going to take a nap.
good. Yeah, exactly. And Jen, do you mind my asking, how did it show up for you? Like, how did it manifest in the body?
So I got physically ill. I got misdiagnosed several times. I mean, like I was diagnosed with MS, it just all kinds of stuff. Half my body wasn't moving right. Then I started to get problems with my bladder. Things in my sacral area all started going a little bit crazy. I mean, the doctors were putting me on all kinds of meds, which of course come with their own problems, right? So you get in this cycle of like, what is going on? I'm taking this for this, and now I can't sleep. Well, now I got to take this to sleep, and now I got to. It was insanity. And so you get trapped in that whole world. Then they're like, oh, you have this autoimmune disease, and you have that one, and all these diagnoses. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I got to the point where I'm kind of feel done with all these doctors and tests. I got to start digging in and doing my own work. And then I hit this spiritual journey a few years ago, and that's really helped actually physically heal me. I'm off most of my meds except the absolutely necessary ones, and have really just found through meditation and other practices and more holistic ways and sleep. It's the
Yeah.
easiest thing in the world. We don't even think of it as medicine, but if
Hmm.
we do not get the proper sleep every night,
Every night.
especially the older we get, it doesn't matter age, but the older we get, like, it's more harmful, I think, to our health than anything else,
I
right?
agree. I
You can eat
agree.
healthy and you can go work out, but if you're not getting your sleep, that's what I've learned. Get
Yeah.
the
And
sleep.
I love what you're saying about sleep because, you know, it's so true, even with all of the distractions and the light pollution. And it's like we were not meant to really live this way in such high
No,
electricity, high EMFs, high all of this. And
everywhere. Yep.
so the sleeping can tend to be really shallow. And then, of course, one of the things that you mentioned was kind of like coming to the back from the allopathic medical world and saying like, I need to do my work. And this is one of the ways that I feel like the trance really shows up is we give our agency away to the experts when every body is different. And
Right.
unfortunately, many of us have to learn that the hard way. And like you said, get to the point where you're on all these drugs and then the drugs have side effects. And I think there's a lot more awareness these days about the alternatives. But even now, it's so hard to know what to believe in this kind of AI generated world.
Oh my gosh, it's
And
so hard.
it's so hard. And so the more you can learn these tools to learn what the body's wisdom is trying to tell you and learn how to listen to your body's wisdom, that is key right there. And
It is.
so,
Because
yeah,
I don't think, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be taking any prescription meds out there. I'm not telling you
no,
to stop your meds or anything else, but feel it in your body. For me, it's
that's
like,
right.
do I need this one? I do. I know that I need
Hmm.
this one right now.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that universe, God, however you guys, call it, has sent us things like medications and medicines and plants, to help us too. So I kind of keep my mind open to everything,
Me too. Me
holistic
too.
and Western, all of it. And then I feel what's right for me.
That's
Yeah.
right. So I think I started suffering the impact of autoimmunity starting at like age 12, but I don't think it was detected until I was late in my 20s. And if I were to look at that pattern, so it was hypothyroidism. So, and it started manifesting as hives at age 12, all over body hives.
Okay,
And
yeah.
again, when I think about that period of time, right, it's like women, I was becoming a woman, the very thing that I saw, like so much misogyny. Again, I didn't know how to name it back then, but here
Right.
I was becoming the very thing that society was putting down, right? This feminine being and developing in my body. And so it was like I was coming out of my own skin. And because of the way I was raised, I had so much shame around my own sexuality and
Yeah.
had no knowledge of erotic power or tantric power until I was deep into my 40s. I look back and I have so much empathy and compassion now for the parts of myself that were just surviving and not thriving, right? Because of the
Exactly. Yep, you
conditioning.
get in that survival mode.
Yeah.
No, for
And so
sure.
you do hit a point, and this is what I want to offer to your listeners, where you're kind of ready to do that inner work. And so, whatever that looks like, that's usually the place that I meet most of my clients where they've tried everything and I need help. Yeah. Like I need
I need help
help.
now.
And
And all of a sudden you find yourself open to anything. You're like, things that you might not have ever considered, all of a sudden you hit midlife and all this stuff is going on and you're in this spiritual journey. You're like, I'm open to it all. What do you
that's
got?
right. That's right.
What do you want me to rub on my joints? I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna try
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all right. You piqued my interest on this sexuality thing and this
Hmm.
tantric and this sensuality business. So how did you reconnect with that? Because I know for a fact, especially as Gen Xers, and
Hmm.
if you were raised in any type of religion at all,
Or raised by a
you've got a
nun.
lot of shame. What's that?
Or raised by a former nun.
Yeah. Or raised by a former nun that was like scrubbing in with the surgeon in the back room. Yeah. No, like you said, the hypocrisy going on at your house a little bit there, huh?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
That's
crazy
funny.
making. Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. Guys, nuns are just women
Just
too, for the
people,
record. Just
just human
people too,
beings.
right?
Yeah.
And may have picked the wrong job, as we all do.
As we all
It's
do.
fine. It's fine. You move on. So how did you reconnect then? For anyone listening there, if you're at that point where, no, I know I need to reconnect with my sexuality, all of that. What kind of
Yeah.
process does that look like for women? Just to get started on it. I know it's like not an overnight thing, guys, but
Yeah.
are you doing like tantric meditation? What kind of things do you recommend?
So, okay. So this is such a great question. And when I think back about it, well, first of all, you had mentioned you're a manifester earlier in our
Yes.
conversation, but when you said that, do you mean human design wise?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a generator. And what I realized is that I have all of these tantric channels in my design. And so from a very young age, one of the things that happened for me was I was incredibly sexual from a very young age. So I had so much shame about it when it was like really quite natural, especially for those of us that
So
are
you're talking like
designed
as
that
you
way.
started to head into like womanhood, so probably like 13,
No,
12, like
I'm
you were
saying
saying.
like I knew I was a sexual being by the age of 7.
Shit, girl, what were you doing? Rubbing on that rope?
Oh,
Where were
yeah.
you
Like masturbating early, right? And like
that you're
the,
like, "No, I found the edge of the old stairs and loved every minute of it." No. Okay,
I
so
found
you
divinity. I found bliss. I found ecstasy.
right.
So here I am, exploring my own body
Yeah,
in a very Catholic household and just like,
probably
right.
feeling pretty guilty. Yeah.
Oh my
As
gosh.
you
I
got
mean,
older, it was such a
well, it
sin,
was
you're
like,
going to
what's wrong
hell.
with me? What's wrong with me that I'm
Right, like,
like
what's wrong?
this?
It feels so good. Why would God make some things so
Right.
good,
Right.
so bad? Yeah.
So I had no idea I was going to share this deeply, but I think like it's so important for us as women to share these stories because it normalizes those of us that
It
kind
does
of
because
knew from a
you
very
guys are
young
all listening
age.
right now, and you feel like you feel this, or you know someone who's felt this,
Absolutely.
especially we get to middle age, like hormones get all jacked up again. You know what I mean? We're trying to still find our way back to
Yes.
hormonal balance and sexuality. Yeah.
Yeah. So here I was, this very sexual person who was then frigid when it came to being in relationships with men.
Okay.
I could not relax. I could not feel safe. I could not
Because you felt safer with yourself?
I felt safer with myself, but I would say that I also was, one of the things that we do is compartmentalize, right? We fragment the parts of ourselves that are not acceptable in
Yeah,
order
you hide
to
it away. You feel shame and you
belong,
block
right?
it up. Yeah.
Right. And so there are all kinds of reasons, and we all have our own individual story. But I think so many women, their sexuality is suppressed by design because when women are full of themselves and truly turned on in all ways, turned on with their job, turned on with life, we're unstoppable. We are the creatress. We are the OG, like
Yeah.
we're the original goddess. And when a woman has had enough, right, of the bullshit, things happen, things get done.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
We can make it happen. And so I think like so many women are suppressing their sexuality. And so and I have many mentors and wise women that started coming into my life once I started actually asking for them, like meaning when I had the dark night, I started praying in a way that I hadn't been taught to pray. It was more came from this place of like, a deep cry, like for a wise woman to come into my life, like a deep longing, like a guttural, primal,
Yeah.
like, please help me through
Send
whatever
someone.
this
Yep.
is, right? Send someone. And sure enough, people started coming. And
Yeah, if you ask,
it was
you gotta
amazing.
ask out there, you guys. Start
You just got to
asking.
ask. And one of the women who came along my path was Mama Gina. And while I didn't do all of her programs, I read her book, Pussy, A Reclamation.
I have seen this Mama Gina. Yes.
hmm
I've listened
hmm
to podcasts she's
And
interviewed
she's
on.
so controversial. And what I will say is, I had the total gift of learning her teachings through one of her teachers. And so it
Okay.
wasn't Mama Gina directly, but it was through
Yeah.
actually an experience called Rockstar Camp for Women. And
Oh,
this woman, Megan Jo Wilson, was teaching some of the tools. And one of those tools, of course, and many of those tools I've incorporated into my own work because they've been so incredibly powerful. And so one of the things that I learned how to do was called swamping. It's most women, and I learned this as well when I took the art sabbatical and went back to art school, we're so full of everybody else's stuff, everybody else's needs, everybody else's emotions, everybody else's bullshit. That we're so full, but not in a good way. We're not full of ourselves. We're full of everybody else. And so we
yeah.
have to empty in order to start to know who we are. And most women are afraid to empty because grief and
Yes.
rage.
Yep.
And
And
they're
it all comes out.
afraid that once they start, they'll never stop. They'll never
Right.
stop crying and they'll never
Right.
stop raging.
Yep.
And so swamping is a way to start doing that without losing yourself. And it actually starts to regulate the body. And so you're doing it in a very timed way. So, and you're doing it in the safety of other women most times. But what happens is that the teacher will put on, or the guide will put on a rage song. And for 2 minutes, you're just, and it's a lot easier for women to access grief than it is rage. But as you continue to do it and it becomes more, and so many women are so like, I'm not doing that. That feels scary. That feels out of control. And yes, it does feel out of control but it's in such a beautiful container. And
So are we saying swamping is a bunch of women sitting around just raging together?
they're actually moving their bodies. So it's in a big room and it's to music. And the thing is that Mama Gina or whoever the teacher is doesn't leave you in rage. She brings you back to joy or sensuality.
That's good. Yeah.
Yep. And
Okay. So you
so
get real pissed off
you get real
and then
pissed off and then you come back to joy. Then you get real griefy and crying and like, ah, and then you come back to joy.
how are we saying we're coming back to joy? Is this
With a
masturbating?
song. No,
Okay.
no. But although I do,
It was like everyone was dancing around, punching pillows, pissed off, and then everyone lays down and goes at it. I don't know what you're saying here, Mon. Okay, so explain. Explain this.
so it is actually a way of women learning to regulate their body through pleasure, but not, but not in that way. It's more like,
Okay, yeah.
right? It's more feeling the tension that you have this, okay, let's put it this way. If there's 88 keys on a piano and we're only playing 8 keys, right? Emotionally
Yep.
wise. There's so much range that a woman has in her body. And so if you're only living your life on the black keys, and only 8 keys, you're not getting the full range of what life has to offer. And if you're always in control of those 8 keys, you're missing out on life and
Okay,
all
so
of
we've
the
got to open up
magic.
to all these other emotions that we've been burying. One of which, like you said,
Absolutely.
is rage. Because it is true, we've been taught you don't show rage,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
right? As
And
women, we're
rage
calming.
internalized is
Yeah.
depression. And so
Yeah,
many
that makes
women
sense.
are suffering depression. Hmm.
But really, they're just pissed off, but
Hmm.
they haven't expressed it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Deeply pissed off.
Deeply pissed off. Yeah, I think we're all feeling that right
Hmm.
around midlife here.
Hmm.
Yeah, pissed off. Are there any other tips for like unlocking these emotions? Because like you said, you knew you were a sexual person when you were young. Then you trained yourself out of that. You locked it away because that's not really acceptable. Even probably you're into your marriage and not really feeling it,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mm-mm.
Even though you're under the sanctity of marriage. So it should be legitimized, right? All the religions say, oh,
Hmm.
you got married, you signed that piece of paper, go to it, do whatever the hell
Right,
you want.
right. But the
Okay.
programming keeps you from
But the
actually,
programming still keeps you guilty.
yeah,
Yeah.
and keeps you from actually. So it is a process, and it's a process that happens over time, but it starts with self-approval first and foremost. And when I talk about self-approval, what I mean is women are typically conditioned to be in relationship where we kind of complain, and that's how we bond. Right? We in a lot of cases, women are taught to be the victim and to bond that way. And so one of the things that I like to do in my work is first like recontextualize how women are really supposed to be together. And that is, we're here to celebrate each other. And so starting with getting women to start noticing what they're celebrating versus what they're complaining about. And that becomes like a practice, just like a spiritual practice, where instead of noticing because a complaint is really just an unexpressed request, right?
Okay. Say
So
that again.
a complaint is a request that hasn't been expressed,
Okay. Yep.
right? So
Yep.
for
That makes sense.
example, if I'm complaining that my husband is tracking in mud with his shoes, the request is, honey, can you take your shoes off at the door? But most women won't even say that,
They'll just
right?
wait till it's happened 100 times and you're like,
And then
I
they
fucking
hit the
hate you.
penthouse.
It's got the
Yeah.
damn mud all over my house.
And they get resentful. So it's like noticing first and foremost that a complaint is actually like an unexpressed request. And then it's getting women to start recognizing, oh my gosh, I have so much to celebrate. For some women, it's just getting out of bed in the morning. And so also getting women to start the practice of what we call bragging, which makes most women so uncomfortable. But when you're in a
Yeah. Most women do
context,
not want to brag about themselves.
right?
Nope.
But if you watch men, they have no problem with it. They'll be like, did you see me like just dunk the ball? I'm
Yeah.
awesome, right?
Right.
Well, how come guys get to do that, but women don't? So one of the things we love to do in our group containers is to teach women the art of bragging because it is an art form. And the rule is that
Ooh.
you have to celebrate something about yourself. And if the word brag makes you uncomfortable, you can say celebrate, but it's this idea of like, I'm, I brag that I took a 6-month sabbatical and the other women in the group are like, well bragged, great job. Right. It's starting to disrupt that negative, always existing story that we tell ourselves over and over again. So starting to interrupt the patterns that have been there for so long and starting to have us see ourselves and start to tell a new story in the background. Yeah.
I love
So
that.
that's
All
like,
right.
and also being in self-approval, which was what I mentioned before. So it's like, oh my gosh, I was a raving bitch this morning to my husband and I approve.
Yeah.
Instead of, right? Like, instead of
Feel
beating
bad. I should
myself,
apologize. What am I going to do?
right.
Yeah.
I can still pick up the phone and apologize, but I can also approve of my inner bitch coming out. It's like, yeah, she's had enough. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I
I
said it.
approve. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, so many women get so upset if they get emotional, but I approve of all of my emotions. I approve of my wide range. I approve of the whole piano board of emotions,
Yeah, feeling all the emotions.
feeling it
Yeah,
and also approving of it, because most women are in a constant state of disapproval about themselves and about the world.
very true. That's very true. Yep, I feel that. Okay, so we're in this trance,
Mhm.
and then you get to the point, and you call it the Revelation Project. You have 7 steps to feminine freedom, which is essentially the
Yes.
Revelation Project. Have
Yeah.
we talked about some of these 7 steps already, or is this a
Some
fresh 7?
Some of them we have, but I can kind of recreate how this works. The Revelation Project is a framework for how to be in relationship with your own life that allows you to, like you said earlier, just kind of get curious, step into more of the witness role of your life and stop taking everything so personally. But the first step to doing that is kind of radical honesty. And so a revelation, which is step one, is when most women realize that it's time to get radically honest. And so earlier I shared with you that I was pretending not to know that my marriage was failing, right?
Right. Yep.
And so a lot of women are pretending not to know something. And so having that honesty and allowing themselves to actually get transparent about what's true and to speak that truth to themselves or out loud to someone else is the first step. And then it's
Okay, so we're
like,
talking about, like, just becoming completely honest,
yeah,
really
it's,
looking from the outside and saying, "All right, I've been denying my marriage is shit," or the relationship with someone is shit, right? Whether it's
mhm.
a kid, a sibling, my job.
And one place to look is, what is the story of suffering that I am constantly running? So for me, for a long time, it was like I was a victim. I'm constantly running a victim story in my
Okay.
head about
Yeah.
how it's always being done to me versus happening for me, like that.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's getting really clear about, like, how did I even get here? What was the story of suffering? What is the story of suffering that I tell myself over and over again? Because we're storytellers. And often we don't realize that we're telling ourselves an unconscious story, even though we're performing out here. We're like, it's
Right.
all good. It's all the pretty picture.
Yeah, we're putting on a show.
But behind the scenes, right, there's a deeper truth. So step one is the honesty, reveal.
And we could do that to a good friend, get in a
Yeah.
group like you have where it's trusted women all talking together.
We could do it in a
Yeah.
journal.
In a journal just to ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to
Okay, so we're getting
ourselves.
honest
Yep. We're getting
first.
honest. Right.
Okay.
And I think sitting with that kind of honesty and just being with it is the first step, no matter how uncomfortable it is. So the second step is the reckoning, which is when you're kind of ready. And again, this is all at everybody else's own pace because everybody is different. But there is kind of what I've documented, this process to get from revelation to revolution. And so the second step being reckoning. And that's, what do you need to face and how can you retreat and seek some personal honesty below the surface and realize that there are 3 places, or there's something that you've been upset about for a long time, and start to take ownership of your part in it. That's the reckoning.
Yeah, that's this shadow work, you guys. It sucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we got to do it. It's important.
It sucks, but let me make this easy. In this step, it's identifying the upset. And there's only 3, like, you can dismantle an upset by looking at 3 things. There's either a thwarted intention, an
Okay.
undelivered communication, like my husband in the shoes. Okay. Or an unfulfilled expectation. Those are the 3 main upsets somebody can have. So in order to take responsibility, it's like, oh, where was I? Oh, I was intending for everybody to love this dinner I put together. And here I am upset because my intention was thwarted. Well, now I have access to communicating it by owning it. Oh, I was intending this other outcome and it didn't happen. And now I'm upset about it. That could also be an unfulfilled expectation. But a lot of times with an expectation, you want to let somebody know what you're expecting, think that they have mental telepathy.
Yeah, if we don't tell our loved ones they're not meeting our expectations, they don't actually know. And the
Right.
same way if they don't tell me, I don't know.
That's
right?
right.
I don't know if changes are needed unless someone says, and it's hard to say, isn't it?
Well, and
Yeah, it's
it's
hard to ask for what
interesting
you want.
until it's not, right? It's hard to say until it's not, until you become just like radically honest because you know that that's actually who you are. I mean, think about it, Jen, right? Here we are. We're so busy performing, but my real self would be like, oh, hell no. That's some bullshit right there.
Yeah, I don't feel like doing that. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. Why,
Yeah.
why, why would I do that? Right. So we start realizing to the level that we've been performing or pleasing in order to avoid whatever we think is wrong with the true self. And there's nothing wrong with the true self. That's just it. Is we're all designed to reveal the truth of who we are. That's the Revelation Project. And you'll go through these 7 steps. You know, you could go through them real quick, or you could go through them over the course of a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't mean that if you become honest with yourself on Monday, by Wednesday, you need to be.
Mm-mm.
No, the timeline's going to be different for each of us. Not
Different
that
for
we want
each
to
of
take too
us.
long either. You don't want
That's
to
right.
spread this out over 10 more freaking years because we're looking for relief here in midlife. We don't want to spend
Yeah.
that long, but take your time on it. Yeah.
That's right. And that gets us into step 3, which is this reflection. And, that's where sometimes a coach can be very helpful. Because if you're not coachable, if you're not to the point where you've had the reckoning, right?
Hmm.
But sometimes it's wonderful to have a guide to lead you through the reflections so that
Yes.
you might say something, Jen, and I'm here to ask you, well, say more about that, Jen. And then I'm going to reflect and mirror back what you said. And a good coach will ask you the right questions so that you can find your own answers, right? Because you
Yeah.
hold
Like it's
those
like therapy, you
answers,
guys. It's a version of therapy, this coaching. Yeah.
right? And you can always reflect on your own. But I do find that a lot of women are external processors, and we often
Hmm.
need somebody as a witness to just hold space for us while we kind of reflect on what's really going on.
Yes.
Right. And
Yep.
so I have something called a reveal wheel, which is a tool where women can kind of look at the different aspects of their lives. Because when we're looking at
Oh,
it all at once, it's kind of like a tangled ball of thread and we get overwhelmed. And then our nervous system gets dysregulated and then we're spinning out versus,
right.
right.
Yeah.
So that's step 3 is this reflect and look at where you've had an identity that might be starting to die,
Okay.
right?
Like, give me an example. What would be an identity in midlife that's starting to die for us?
Okay, so I identified as a podcaster for 4 years. I got myself in the top 1.5% of podcasting worldwide. I was blah, blah, blah. This is who I was. And suddenly I'm going through a dark night of the soul. I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am. I want to go back to art school. Well, I'm going to lose my identity. Who am I now?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to lose my identity. That feels so uncomfortable. Or for women who are going through empty nest, if their identity has been
I
motherhood,
was going to say that came to mind. A lot of us identify heavily with parenting
totally.
and then the kids are off and they don't really need us. And we're like, who the
Who
hell
am
am I
I?
now?
Who am I
Yeah.
now?
Who the heck am I? And then that's when you have to start doing this process like you're talking about, like, who am I? What feels good? What do I want to do?
Yes.
I haven't been
Yes.
asked that in so many years. What do you want to do?
Yes. And
It feels unfamiliar.
this
Yeah.
is such a big part of what I call it's a different acronym, but it's appropriate to talk about it for a quick second. And it's called Women Going Mad. And MAD is an acronym and it means maintaining our state of amusement,
Hmm.
activating our imaginations, and
Hmm.
daring to dream again. Because so many women were taught not to dream. They were taught to keep it small.
Yeah. No, we got to get mad as hell now.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's such a great process because, like I said earlier, it makes space for us to like, oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot to dream. I'm
Yeah.
not too old to do any of this. My life's not over. I have all of these dreams that I get to
Hmm.
have, that I get to
Yep.
fulfill, that I get to think about, that I get to create.
And now that we're done
So,
with these kids and some of this stuff, and maybe you're
oh
done
my
with your
gosh,
husband too out there, whatever you're done with, you got the time to do it now.
but you
Yeah.
have to also like grieve the old identity,
Sure.
right? And so like normalizing that this is actually part of the death and rebirth experience. And women are so
Yes.
great at this unless we've been suppressing the death, right? Unless we've been keeping death at arm's length because we're so afraid of like what's behind that door. At least this is the known, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
So that step 4 is recover. Your story does not define you. And this is when you start taking back your power and you start telling a new story for your life. This is the I approve. This is the I'm celebrating all of these aspects of myself. This is where we start to change the story. It's like up until now, I had a mother wound that was dictating a lot of my behavior up until now. Now, as the storyteller, I'm going to start to tell a new story about the woman who overcame her mother wound and started to serve other women with mother
Yeah.
wounds or whatever the story is, right?
You just reframed that whole thing.
Just reframe it, right? And so I now, step 5, begin to re-author my story. It's my job to love me, not yours. That's that
Yeah.
step. It's my job to love me.
Yep. There's nobody coming to save us. We're already here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I am the first example of how the world is to treat me. And so this is where women have a lot of fun learning true boundaries. And when people then come to women and say like, oh my God, you're so sensitive, you can say, thank you. It's true.
Yeah, I am.
Thank you. It's true. Yeah. I see that in myself. I'm so sensitive. It's not an insult anymore.
Right. Like you're
It's
like, no,
like,
I embrace that.
yeah,
That's part of
I'm
what
taking the
makes me who I
power
am.
back. I'm not going to let people like put me down and, you know, keep me down, right? Especially those that know us and that start getting really uncomfortable with our growth.
Yeah. That shuts these people down too. The minute you agree with someone and feel good about it, they're like, taken aback usually. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
that's not the emotion I
it
thought I'd
didn't
get
really
from her.
work. Yeah.
And then they don't do that anymore because
Mm.
they don't get any satisfaction if that was their goal, was to make you
Yes.
feel bad,
Yes.
right? If they
Yeah,
see that they didn't make you
absolutely.
feel bad, they made you feel good.
I
If they're bad
know.
people, they're not going to do that again.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true. And I love doing that with my daughter and my kids at home. Now there'll be banter like, "Oh my God, you're so silly. Thank you. It's true." Like that's
Right.
what we
Yeah,
do
yeah,
at
yeah.
home because it's this way of kind of it real with self-approval in a way that just, it doesn't have I don't watch my children spiral, like, shut down. In fact, I watch them put their shoulders back and put their head
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, "Yeah, I've got this." And
Yeah.
I think that that's what so many women in our generation were not given were these tools or the parenting. And so we have to learn how to now reparent ourselves and find those inner child parts that are telling still a story that
Yeah.
doesn't serve us anymore. And so
Yep.
again, with a guide, it's always super helpful to do that. And then step 6 is what I call the reclamation, and it's celebrating your inner heroine and claiming your superpower. And a lot of women don't realize how gifted they are at so many things because they've kept it copacetic. So once women really start to be with each other in community that's like this, in groups where we're using these tools, they start to see themselves in the mirror of other women's eyes. And it's such a beautiful feeling.
It's
It's like
beautiful.
me,
Yeah.
like knowing that you have a gift of podcasting and reflecting it back to you because I realize that complimenting you is doesn't make me any less. It
No.
doesn't take away from me or our
No.
relationship. And a lot
No.
of women think celebrating other women is like, most women don't even know how to take a compliment or say, yeah, thank you. It's true. It's like, Monica, you look so beautiful. I love your outfit. Thank you. It's true. Like,
Right. Most people be like, oh, God, I got it for $5 on clearance. Like they're trying to like downplay everything they just said. Yeah.
right. And so it's like, it's receiving, it's all of these things start to happen in the reclamation because you're just like, wait, I have a God given birthright to shine.
Yes. Yeah. And by
Yeah.
helping other women shine, it doesn't dim our light. It actually makes
Mm-mm.
our light brighter
It makes our light
and their
brighter.
light.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So this
right.
is how we combat the patriarchy a little bit too. Let's just start really lighting up, girls.
Totally. That's
Right? We're
yeah,
all going to start lighting up to the point where you cannot dim our shine anymore.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
Yeah.
then step 7 is revolution, which is when you activate your truth in the world. It's kind of like you come back from this underworld journey and you're like, this is who I am now. And so it's
Mm,
also you come back from this, again, I call it underworld because it's often the unconscious that we're tapping into, all of these unconscious biases, beliefs, the lies that we've been told, and we're often having an unbecoming process. So, and of course, I love that word because so many of us were told, like, don't sit that way. It's unbecoming for a woman. I'm like, the more unbecoming women we can get in this world, the better.
Yeah.
Because the more women who are untangling all of these lies, the more we can come back to life with our true, authentic nature, whole and complete, exactly as we are, no longer apologizing. In fact, being in full self-approval and being literally full of ourselves. And women who are full of ourselves then have so much to give from our overflow because we're not living in depletion anymore.
No, we're out of survival mode, out of
Yeah.
depletion mode.
And it's such a beautiful thing because then we have all this reserves of energy. We wonder why we can't get out of bed in the morning. My God, all of that suppression. It's like,
Yeah.
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 So I so get it. My heart literally goes out to anyone who's listening who can resonate. I have been there. I literally was in bed for 9 months, could not get out of bed. It was, like I said, I almost had to lose my life to choose my life. And so it's is a process, but it's a process that can happen just like that, especially in the times we're living in. I feel like we're the background frequency. And if you know human design, it's changing.
Yeah.
We're going
Yeah.
from kind of this culture of consumerism into a culture of quantum growth and healing. And so women have the ability to catch up in the healing process. And I believe that the universe is making it possible for us to catch
I
up
think so
quicker.
too. Because do you feel like this surge of feminine energy coming?
Amazing.
It already feels like the universe is kind of switching anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And we're raising, supposedly
The
we're heading into the old
vibration.
5D, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be raising up right now. And I mean, I can feel it. I think if you're out there and you're starting to become in tune with your own intuition and spirituality and all of this stuff, you can just
Yes,
feel it. Yeah.
I can
It's
feel
very
it.
cool.
It's so exciting because I think when I came back from my own dark night of the soul, I knew that I was supposed to work with women, but I was also the girl that was like, I don't even know if I like women. It was kind of like that
Right. You're like, ugh, I don't even like being
because
around a group.
I had
I don't want to
so
work with
much
a group
inner
of women.
misogyny,
Yeah.
that I didn't even realize, oh my gosh, this
You're
is
like,
all programming.
right. You had to start realizing you can hang out and have friends that are women
Yeah.
again.
And that
Yeah.
actually they can be super healthy, super authentic, super enriching relationships. I mean, I've been doing this for so long. I'm just like, this is how women can change the world, is literally by circling together in ways that are healthy because it is so powerful. And now I understand why patriarchy split women apart and isolated us was because of how powerful we are in
When we
numbers
come together.
when we come
Yeah.
together. Yeah. And so that's kind of the 7-step process, Jen, but it's also happens without you even kind of stepping it out. It's actually when I finally realized that there was kind of a process to this,
Hmm.
it also doesn't necessarily need to go in order, but it's like what I did realize about the 7 steps is most healthy women will go through each of them,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
It's like the
So,
stages of grief or anything else. Like
yeah, or anything
you'll go through
else.
it. Maybe a couple of them will be backwards or something. But in
Yeah.
general, yeah.
It's kind of just, and it's a natural process. So, a woman who is coming into her reckoning will get there without realizing she's necessarily been through the revelation process. She'll just be like, I am reckoning with something. I am ready for things to change. Right. And
That's the first step right there, right? It's time. I
it's
think we're all
time.
there. I think if you guys are listening with me right now, we're there, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole
Yeah.
reason you're listening. You have this Bill of Rights that people can
Mm,
get. And I thought it was so cool. I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, I need to frame this or something.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
Or just pull it out and read it every once in a while.
because I didn't realize that I had these human rights. Like nobody ever told me. And I don't have it in front of me, but you're welcome to like
I
choose
do
your
have it in
favorite
front of
little
me.
section and read it if you
You
want.
guys, there's so many little sections. But so basically, she's got sections that says, I have the right to. I have the right to this, that, and the other. Well, this one kind of is what we talked about. I have the right to be smart, sensual, sexy, and fabulous. love the body I was born in. I like this one. Fire myself from the job that's just a job and situations that don't feed my soul. Right? Fire yourself and move on. I loved that. To find my way, even if it requires that I first become lost. I have the right to do that. I have the right to trust myself, learn and grow, and even outgrow people and places that no longer serve me. I found this to be an important one, right? Because I think a lot of us know that maybe someone in our life, whether it's a friend, whoever, isn't feeding our soul anymore. It isn't
Right.
appropriate to spend as much time as we do with them anymore. And so it's saying I have the right to outgrow people, places, and things. And that's okay.
And I
Like, it's
approve.
okay. Yeah. And then I like this one. It says, I have the right to fail, flail, and fall and still be the one to bet on. So we can fail, you guys, and still know that you can bet on me. I'm still going to
Mhm.
make this happen.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have the right. We have the right to do that. There's so many more, you guys. There's lots of them. I have the right to be a light in the darkness and shine without dimming or to make others uncomfortable. So that's kind of what we talked about. We have the right to shine and help other women shine without dulling anyone's light. We can all just shine together. And then it says, I have the right to say no to what I don't want and yes to what I do want. I have the right to live my life on my own terms, enthusiastically and without apology. That's the important part there. We spend a lot of our lives apologizing for our decisions. And it's like, no, why are we apologizing? Stop saying you're sorry. I know people that will say sorry 10 times in the amount of time I said with them. Oh, I'm sorry about really stupid stuff. And you're like, stop saying you're sorry. You're
Mhm.
not sorry. Or
Mhm.
if you are sorry, you don't do that anymore, right? If it's
Mhm.
truly a sorry situation. If not, stop saying you're sorry. Make your decisions and roll with it, right?
Yes.
And my favorite one at the end was, I have the right to reveal the truth of who I am. Because I'm real big lately on living authentically and figuring out what authenticity looks like for each of us and honoring that and
Yeah.
going with it. And that's different for every single one of us. But I think the thread through it for all of us is this feminine energy that we can start to embrace again
Yeah.
and support each other in groups. And I tell people all the time, you can do all this work alone, but why?
Why?
There are people who have burned that path ahead of us. They've been through the things and they can help us get through it in an easier way. It's still going to be hard, but like you said, there are steps to it. And if you
Yes.
start working the steps with a coach, with a friend, with a group of women, you're probably going to be more successful more quickly. That's my thought. What do you
Mhm.
think? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, I don't think we were meant to journey alone. You know,
Yeah.
I think kind of the whole lone wolf thing is like a construct of survival, you know,
Yeah.
in a world that is upside down. And again, mad women will maintain their state of amusement because that's the other way that the, you know, kind of system is trying to really get us, especially right now. And I say get us, it's like, you know, we created the game. So we have to recognize that it's kind of a game. We're here to elevate. We're here to awaken. And if there wasn't chaos and distress and all this stuff happening, this isn't me spiritually bypassing. It's me looking through one lens, right? Remember the viewfinders when we were
Yeah.
kids?
Yep.
It's like looking at it through one lens, which is, can I maintain my state of amusement and start to activate my imagination and dare to dream a new reality? Because that's what all of our indigenous peoples all over the world are telling the modern world. We live in a dream, but it's become a nightmare. And we have to
Yeah.
dare to dream a new dream for the future of humanity. And I assert that women are the dreamers because we're the ones that know how the world should run. We just haven't been able to consider ourselves as having a seat at the table because we've been told the table's not for us. But we're not
Right.
here to ask anymore. We're here to take a
Yeah. We're
seat at the
taking our seats back.
table, and we're
Yeah.
here to, you know, activate each other into, you know, the dream time
Yeah.
again.
That's why coming together as groups of women can be so powerful.
And that we get to fall back in love with ourselves because we've forgotten who we really are. We've been playing this performance for so long. We don't realize that we're not the masks we wear every day. And
Right.
so I'm still figuring out these authentic parts of myself. I'm like, oh, look at you, girl.
I think it's where I
You
don't even
thought
think
you,
we're going to
yeah, you
do it in
thought
one
you loved
lifetime.
going to parties. Actually, you really, whether
Yeah.
it's a function of menopause or whatever, but I'm still getting to know Monica now, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm allowed
Monica
to
doesn't have to go out and
change.
party all the time anymore. Monica
No,
feels good staying home.
Monica feels great staying home. Yeah.
Yeah. Same. Yep.
Yeah.
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 I call
Aw.
myself you're probably the same. I call myself more of a extroverted introvert. At my core, I feel like an introvert. I love a lot of alone time. I don't need anyone else around to have a good time and enjoy my day.
Yeah.
I don't.
What's your profile in human design? Because I'm a 2/4, which actually was really illuminating because I was the hermit. So it's kind of like the hermit
So
that
I think I
has,
am a 2/4.
yeah.
I think
Well,
I'm yeah,
that would make so much
like the
sense.
hermit. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we need to hermit in quite a bit to survive.
Right. But then
But I
we
do
also
love
have
to
to
go
be
out.
social.
Yes, but I also but I do love to go out. I could love to be around people and do things. I just know after I do a lot of that, I'm gonna need to hermit it up again for a little while
Absolutely. With
and
full
recharge
self-approval. Where in the
before I can do it
past,
again. Yeah.
right? Where in the past I was like, why do I felt so filled with contradictions until I saw my
Yeah.
design. It's like, well, you're a walking
That makes total
contradiction.
sense. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'd be like, I love people. And then the next day I'd be like, I don't like people, you know? Or it was this way of like, why do I want to be with people
And it's
today? But
confusing. And then once you
yeah,
figure out your design and all your things, you're like, that's just me.
makes
I'm not gonna feel
sense.
bad about any of this. That's how I was
Exactly.
made. That was part of the
Exactly.
plan.
And by the
And I'm
way, I also love reading for people who love human design. I'm happy to read. I've been studying it on the
Are
side.
you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know enough of it like you do, but I love every bit of it. Yeah.
It's so fun. It's just so helpful.
It's very helpful. I mean, I looked up what each of my kids were, my husband. I've been trying to I'm like, that tracks. That makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense. It all makes sense. So
It all
even
makes
just
sense.
in the spiritual journey, getting readings on different things like that gives you beautiful insight, you guys, into how you were made and how you plan to live this life, right? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
your blueprint. And once you know and embrace that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much easier
So good.
to
So
say,
good.
yeah, I'm taking a nap. I don't feel bad about it. That's how I was
Mm-mm.
made. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
To sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's kind of true for some of us. Like one of the things that I
It's true.
discovered was, oh, what was it? Oh, it had to do with digestion. So it's like how you digest the world.
Yeah.
And right. And so, but it's also how you digest food. And one of the things that I noticed is if I have a lot of food, like I'll just go to sleep. Like I can't metabolize it. So my body, the way I'm designed is short bursts of meals versus a big meal. And that was so helpful for me to see
Yeah,
because,
because it takes you out. Like it's too much energy if you eat too much all at once.
well, but then if you
It's true.
listen to the guidelines, right, it's like 3 meals a day with snot, blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
again, it's like it just kind of like allows you to be uniquely you through the
Yeah.
human design lens. It's just like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at math because I wasn't designed to be good at math.
Yeah. So who cares about math then?
So who
Like that
cares?
was the path I was meant to
Yeah,
take.
I wasn't designed.
Someone else can do the math.
But our society will tell us, like they called it grading. I called it degrading, especially for those of us that, again, it's part of the conditioning, right? It's like they give you 8 subjects a day. If you're not good at all of them, somehow you're a C student. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Right. You're like, okay,
I'm
but I got
actually
an
an
A in that
A.
class.
I'm an A plus
Yeah.
all day, every day. Yeah,
I'll do every day. I don't care what you said about math or English or whatever I was bad at.
exactly.
Yeah. It's like that damn you were talking about food, and I thought about that stupid food pyramid that we all
Oh,
got indoctrinated with,
yes.
right? That damn food pyramid screwed a lot of us up because that's a bunch of
Mhm.
crap. I digress. I won't get into the food pyramid right now. All right. So we talked about getting out of this trance of unworthiness, and we talked about this whole revolution and these 7 steps and all these amazing things. Okay. So you can do one-on-one with Monica, you guys. You have group, right? And she still she's not actively doing her podcast right now, but there's still a million episodes to go back and listen to, you guys, to learn all kinds of amazing things. So check that out too. So the best way to get in contact with you is just messaging through your website, going,
Yeah, I would say
yeah, setting up.
through
Okay,
the
what is this called?
website.
You've got a call, don't you? A little
Yeah,
chemistry
it's a
call?
little chemistry call. It's just kind of
Okay.
like a free call to find out if you want to work together. It's just so that
Yeah.
we get each other's, sense of, what's going on in your life. Let me, kind of just see where you're at. And if we both feel good at the end of the chemistry call, we can decide how we want to work together. And there's a few different ways to work together. One of the ways that I'm starting to implement a whole new kind of approach to coaching is through something I call intentional creativity. So,
Yeah, that looks cool.
yeah, so there's a lot of women who are longing to be creative again in some way, shape, or form. And so a lot of times what I find is that creativity leads us more naturally into coaching, and what kind of comes up for us in the face of like what stops us from being creative are some of those shadows that come,
Okay.
right? And to show us like, well, wait, I'm scared. It's like, okay, what's here right now? Tell me more about the fear. Right. And so it's actually through sometimes metacognitive drawing or
I was gonna say, is this your medicine paintings and things
mhm,
like that?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, if women want if you're just out there listening, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've been longing to be creative again," like, let's have a call. If you are someone who knows that you're at a place in your life where you've had a reckoning and you need a guide to kind of take you through, that might be one of the tools that we use to access, right? As a coach at this stage, I have all of these tools in my toolbox, but not every tool is for every woman, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
individualized.
yeah, it's more kind of like understanding like where are you? What do you want? And most women actually don't know. So what we start with is, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
What do you know? Because we've agency, we've outsourced the answers to everyone else. And so
Right.
coming back to ourselves. So yes, small groups of women. I'll usually run a couple of groups a year. I'm not running one until the fall, but one of the groups I run is called Unbecoming. And it's usually for about 14 women. And it's a small cohort of women that journey together over the course of 6 months. And what we do is the teachings, tools, and practices of what I call embodied feminine leadership. And so if you want to be in community with other women and learn those tools, then that's the course for you. And it's so fun. And at the end, there's a live retreat in Kennebunk, Maine that's optional. And you can decide
Ooh.
to do
Yeah, and so
that.
this starts in the fall. So if you guys are interested in getting on her list, probably just sign up on your email
Yeah,
list or whatever on the website.
absolutely. Or just send me
Okay.
an email saying, put me on the list, or however
Yeah.
anybody wants
Send
to
me
communicate.
information when it's available,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So then you can do groups if you guys are looking for a group situation.
Hmm.
And then you just implement this art stuff into it now. Is that right? Because you
Yeah.
went back to art school. We didn't get deep into the art, but I'm so into that. But that's one of the ways that you can help people open up creatively.
Yeah. Yes. It's
Because
kind of,
yeah, because we talked a little bit before the interview, guys, about how by doing these creative things, I've learned that it's so right brain that it helps you turn off that left brain, that analytical side that's overthinking everything. So by entering into some of this creativity artwork, your brain can start to work things out from that feminine side, from that creative side.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Jen, I don't know if you experienced this, but it's like, oh my gosh, it's so fun to create. Like, I forgot how to have fun just creating, right? And not comparing, but creating again with full self approval. It's like when I started, you know, I had always wanted to go to art school, but I was one of those girls that, like, my dad said, you're never going to meet a man to marry you in art school.
Right. That's not a good career. Like, no, that's a hobby. That's not a
Right.
career.
But
Yeah.
here I was my whole life being like, well, I can't be the artist until I got to be 53 years old. And I was like, wait,
You're like, yes, I can be an
yes, I
artist.
can. Yes,
I
I
know.
can. So
I'm
when
looking at a painting behind you this whole time. It's
it's
super
called,
cool. It's
She
got this big third eye on the top.
Opens Her Eye is what it's called.
She opens her eye.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then
it.
there's one behind there. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it. What is this one?
That
Ooh,
one's a reimagining of Adam and Eve in the garden, and it's called He Cherishes Her.
yeah, that's one. This one's got a little bit darker, cooler tone to it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
So, but when I started, I was just like, I really got in touch with all of the inner critics. I was like, oh my God, are there 200 of you seriously right now?
Right.
Because as soon as I picked up a paintbrush again, I mean, I hadn't really done anything since I was 19 years old. Here I was now confronted. I had done all of this systems work, all of these, shadow work. And here there were a whole new batch to work with, when went into the art world. And so all I'm saying is it kind of never ends. It's more learning how to be with all of these changes, all of these aspects of who we are in an authentic way that
Mm-hmm.
just allows us to continue to grow, allows us to continue to fall in love with ourselves in our whole human mess, and just access that joy that we were meant to have, because that's where women will create so many beautiful
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm
I
really
love
here
it.
for.
And I know a lot of you sitting out there like, I can't even draw a stick figure. I hear this all the time from women.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
can't draw. I don't want to do it. And it's like, yes, but you can. If you let all that go,
Let me
it can be
ask you,
abstract, you guys. It can be anything.
you said you were a professional photographer and so was I. So
Mhm.
one of the things whenever I would photograph women, what they would tell me, 95% of them, because I started actually doing the data, 95% of them would warn me that they were not photogenic. Did that
Every
ever?
single time.
Every single time.
You're right. Only about 5% came in with really owning themselves.
Yes.
And honestly, it was people I wouldn't have expected to come in owning themselves too.
Right. Even had somebody come up to me one day and said, "Why do you only photograph beautiful women?" And I said, "Because that's all there is. You're next, right?"
Right. Like, come on in. Yeah.
Yeah. Like women are beautiful, period.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
we've been conditioned to compare
We've been
ourselves. We've been
conditioned to say
conditioned to
like,
put
oh, I don't
ourselves
photograph
down.
well. I don't like my smile, blah, blah, blah. We're always waiting to like make our bodies look better before we get photos with our family.
Gotta
Like
lose
all this
10
stupidness.
pounds. Yes.
Yep. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Then I'm going to do it. And it's like, just go get the damn pictures with your family. Nobody actually cares. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay. So you guys know how to get in touch. We didn't listen. Monica's got a lot more stuff, you guys. So you probably want to look into her and work with her because she has a lot of cool stuff. And I feel like at some point, Monica, you've got to do a book on some of this. Are you going to work on a book?
Oh, thank you for saying that.
I feel like a book
That's
coming out of you
that's
someday.
definitely one of my dare to dreams.
I know you're artsy right now. You're doing this art thing, but I
Yeah.
can totally feel a book coming out of you that incorporates your artwork and all of this.
Thank you.
Right? Like I'm seeing your artwork on one page and I'm turning the page and then that whole chapter beyond that artwork dives into that piece and
Wow.
all these series you have. And then you turn to the next chapter and there's like your next painting.
Oh my
And then a whole
gosh.
chapter that digs into that painting
Wow.
and
Thank you for reflecting
incorporates it.
that to me.
I feel it. I keep staring at your artwork behind you. And then I'm thinking like, now you've got these steps and all these things. This feels like just a start for you, honestly.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jen, thank you. It's true.
it
Thank
is
you.
true.
It's true.
It's
You
true.
know, like, why
Such a
not?
girl. It's true. Why
Yeah,
can't you? Why
I
can't
can.
you?
I
You
absolutely can.
can.
And I
And you're
love
kind of
this.
mini doing these last day of your retreat, but maybe
Mhm.
someday you're going to do bigger retreats with women. A whole freaking group of women going to really cool places and
You.
doing art
Thank you. And doing art.
and doing art. And then you've got a second book with all of your clients' artwork and stories. It could just go on
Okay.
forever.
On and on. I love this vision.
On and
Thank
on and
you.
on. Listen, we're only in our 50s, girl. We got time to do all
We have
this.
so much time. We
And
have
if you're
plenty
listening
of
out there, you
time.
got time to do whatever you're thinking too. It might not
That's
be a
right.
book. It might be something totally different. Maybe you want to start selling your crocheted wash rags. I don't know. Do it. Do you know what I mean? Like
So
maybe you're
good.
just
Yes.
gifting those to all your friends and
Yeah.
they're wash ragged out. It's time to bring them to the world.
Mhm.
Get on
Mhm.
Etsy, girl. Like
That's
whatever
right.
it is that you find passion in, you go do it.
Oh my gosh,
You
you're
go
the
do it.
best.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't care what it is. Like
I
find
know.
a way.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
I could
We've
dive more
just
into
got
this,
to
all this.
lift each other up. We've got to because
Yeah.
is the way forward.
Yep. Find our tribe of women, go with it. If people aren't lifting you, nope, that's not your tribe. You keep moving. Yeah. And I would encourage everyone too, because you mentioned this, the next time you get together with your girlfriends, try and make an effort to like, we're not talking negativity today. We're
Yeah.
not going to bitch. We're
Yeah.
just going to raise each other up. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you the beautiful things I see about you, and
Mhm.
you're going to tell me, and we're going to bask in it.
That's right. And we're going
That's
to
what we're
say
doing
thank you.
today,
It's
girls.
true.
We're going to eat ice cream and we're going to talk about good things and we're not going to bitch. So guys, look up Monica. We gotta dig into all this. And if she feels like the right fit, you're listening and this is resonating with you, then it's time to deep dive into Monica here and get to know more about her services and what she offers. Heck, even just to go on and sign up and download this Bill of Rights, you guys, just get in her system, give her your email, get this Bill of Rights and read through it. And whenever you're feeling down, read this Bill of Rights. I feel like it's empowering to be like, I do have the right to all that, don't I? I don't care
Yes.
what the rest of the world's
That
saying.
and
These
so
are my
much more.
God-given rights that no one's taking from me. Yeah,
So
that's
good,
what I'm going
Jen.
with.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, man. I feel like I'm in the coffee house, man.
This
Yeah.
has been such a great, like, I'm so inspired. You're even inspiring me to consider taking up the mic again and going back to podcasting at some
No, you
point. But
have to do all the things. Why
oh my
not? Right?
gosh. Yeah. But
Work on
you've
the
been
book, work on
so
the podcast, work on the
fun.
artwork. I say we do
Yes.
it all, and we don't need to bring anybody down.
Okay, and if
You
I
guys are out
do,
there thinking about a podcast, I'm all in it for you.
if I podcast, I'm gonna bring you on as a guest because I've had so
Oh,
much fun.
Lord.
Yeah.
No, we would have
Look
so
at
much
you.
fun.
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
true.
I do
Yes.
love all my guests. All right, well, thanks, Monica, and you got to come back because I really want to dig more into this art medicine and all this artsy stuff because it's very cool.
Okay, well, I would love that. So
Yeah,
anytime.
that would be so fun. We need to get together and paint together. Like, I just want to sit next to you and you paint with me.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And we
Creative
channel
session.
some shit while we're doing it.
I'm in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you again for this incredible opportunity to just
Yeah.
be with you. I've loved this so much. I've loved being with your audience, and thanks for just creating such a dynamic conversation. It's a total honor.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Yeah, because you had no idea you were going to talk about how young you became sexual. And there we went. And Monica, there we went.
I know. I'm going to just celebrate it.
Just celebrate everything. Why not? We are who we are. So thank you so much. This has been good. And we're going to talk more about other stuff later. But I'm going to let you, we can't hold Monica hostage all day. We got to let her do her stuff. Okay. All right. Thank you, Monica.
Thanks, everybody.
Till next time.
All right, Jen.
Thanks.
See you later.
Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.